Welcome to my podcast, Bathrobe Conversations with Black Women. I am your host, Rona Muhammad, and I'm sitting here with one of my good girlfriends. I'm going to introduce her shortly. We are in Las Vegas. It's my birthday weekend. Woo! The sounds you hear in the background are from the party group and the in-studio audience that's from the couch. So this is very informal, you all. We are relaxed. This is going to be a game changer for how you do podcasts because I don't know how to do anything other than Rona.
And being authentic.
And that voice is from my good girlfriend, all the way from Philadelphia, Jamie.
Hey.
Hi, Jamie.
Hi, friend.
Thank you for joining us.
Of course, I would rather be no place else than here with you.
I don't know about
and all the other ladies.
That part might be true. Jamie didn't want to do this, y'all, and she is being a super, and I'm being honest, and she said authentic, and I'm being transparent because, and Jamie, once the conversation gets started, she'll understand why I feel like it's so important for my audience to meet you, to know you, to hear your story. Because she's going to be relatable to all. She's going to be an inspiration to all those who listen. And I have a group of women who are true powerhouses as my friends, but they are some of the most humble women that walk the face of this earth, right? They live in the bubble of them, and so they don't really see and know how large in life that they are existing. And Jamie is one of them. And Jamie and I met 15 years ago, Jamie Lynn. Can you believe that?
Mm-hmm.
We met 15 years ago. I'm going to let Jamie tell her side of the story.
Okay.
And then I'm going to tell my side of the story because I have a couple of little conversations that Jamie and I had that I've always, stained my brain and stuck in my mind in terms of my moments with you.
Okay.
That I'm going to bring up and make you laugh. And you'd be like, girl, yes. But Jamie and I met. We were both registered members of the Nation of Islam.
Mm-hmm.
And I had just moved to Philadelphia with a brand new baby. Moved from DC to Philadelphia. I had a Nasir, because I moved in 2007, and so I'd already had Nasir was 4, and Amir was a brand new baby.
And Amir was a brand new baby.
And I came into the Philadelphia Mosque, and I don't know many who know much about the Nation of Islam and the different mosques. There's the different cultures in each mosque. Mm-hmm. And at this point, I'd already been in Washington, D.C., and now Philadelphia was a new city for me. Not really knowing a lot of people in Philadelphia, I was happy to have the Nation because it gave me a ready-made family. It gave me a sisterhood that I could just go into the mosque, meet all these women who love me simply for the choice that I made of registering and being in the Nation. And then that helped me to kind of acclimate myself to the city, to kind of find my footing, to have the support I need, that village that we talk about as Black people, Ready-Made Village. And Jamie was this young firecracker of a young woman who was very much outspoken, who was very much a leader. And she's very mature and wise.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And so I gravitated towards her naturally because this world has a term alpha female. Like, I don't know what that means other than women who are just, as best as they can, are cemented in the knowledge of self and just, being themselves and exercising their voice, right? And are smart and are ambitious, right? So
And
that's
if
what
I
Jamie
can
was.
say,
Absolutely.
I think we naturally were attracted to each other. So
Okay.
I remember when I first met you.
Tell the people.
Let me tell the people. So when I first met Rona, she came in and she walked in the mosque and she was very confident and sure of who she was. And she is physically beautiful, as we can all see and attest to. But she had a beauty that existed within, that radiated from within, and we could see from without. So that is what I think attracted me to you. You were very confident. You were very sure of yourself. You were a magnificent and still are a magnificent mother. I could see that. I could see the sincerity. I could see the authenticity, and that's a big piece for me of who I allowed to enter into my personal life. So I could see all of that in you.
And so I saw the same. So I feel like
we attracted each other.
we did. We
Right.
really did. We really did. And I mean, all that she said, and I don't know if, people understand, she said that she allows to enter into her life. People think that they just have a right when they show up and meet you, that they just have a right to exist in a way that they want to. And I think that was such a powerful statement that you said, that you allowed to be in your life. And Jamie and I's journey has mirrored each other from, coming into the nation, being young moms, being married, getting divorced, within a religious structure. We know divorce is not necessarily a positive thing. How do you navigate all of that?
Right.
And then, deal with, not necessarily backlash, but, divorce divides.
Right.
Right? And then how do, and I'm going to ask you this, because I always tell Jamie, when I found out that she was getting a divorce, she had 2 children at the time. We were actually just talking about this earlier or yesterday. And Jamie, I saw her, which I've never experienced people approaching divorce this way. But when Jamie was getting a divorce, she bought a house, a brand new car, had just had a brand new baby, as her marriage was, ending. And she still, that for me, you're in a marriage, you're deciding that it's ending, then you get pregnant, and then that would, normal people are like, oh, I guess I need to stay. Right? Oh, I guess I'll stay in this. If God gave me this baby, God wanted me to stay. And you said,
Right. But I think who I am is who you are, and like you said, we mirrored each other. And so I think all of that happened because of my reliance on God. Like, that is my foundation. In all that I do, I recognize God, and God is really my foundation in everything that I do. And so in me deciding to divorce, I remember saying a prayer and saying, Allah, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I have 2 children. Not only did I have 2 children, but like yourself, I was a stay-at-home mom. So I had stayed at home with no income. And I remember praying and saying, God, I know that this isn't right for me. And I know that divorce isn't what you want or what you normally prescribe for your followers. But it just doesn't feel right. So what do I do? And I prayed, and I remember getting up from my prayer rug, and I felt like God said, go ahead. Like, you can, that's not your path.
Right.
And so despite our community and how we feel about divorce, I decided to do what was best for me. And I just said, God, and at the time I was pregnant, and I believe, I just found out I was pregnant, and I had 2 children. And I remember saying, God, if you can financially be there for me and be my security, then I'm going to go ahead. So I had no plan. I had no real plan, but I trusted in God, and I trusted in Surah 19, making Allah sufficient for all of my needs. And I would say that over and over and over. And Allah has been sufficient for all of my needs from that point up until now.
And I think that, you talked about, divorce not being a thing that necessarily, God wants, but I don't know that I agree with that, because in the Holy Quran, there's a whole chapter on divorce and how you should conduct divorce, right? And so I think that, one of the things that I can say, and when I say this about me, I know that I'm saying it about you as well. I know for us that we learned and studied for ourselves. Very much like you have to have your own personal relationship with God. Any religion that you subscribe to, you can't just take somebody else's words or beliefs or what they think. You really have to study this thing for yourself, because you're going to only be applying it to you.
Right.
So you took your own little faith and said, listen, this is what I'm going to do. And you haven't looked back. And I personally think, just by being in your life for 15 years, both pre and post divorce, I firmly believe that a lot is, smiling on you and in accord with you because your life has flourished. Talking about someone being a single, stay-at-home mom, and then at that point, like I said, I don't know if everybody heard this, you bought a house. That's why that was such a significant point for me to make, because you were a stay-at-home mom, right? You bought a car. You did all you decided that you were going to do this thing, and then you figured out how to do it. It's nothing spooky in religion. It's nothing spooky. God didn't come with a Tinkerbell wand and tap you, right? You got up, after you prayed, which most people forget that prayer without works is dead.
Right.
So you say, okay, God, I'm going to pray this prayer, but then I'm going to get up and go to work. And then your life has just been reflective of that since.
Right.
You speaking about your children, you have 3 beautiful children. Can you talk to me about being a mom to these 3 beautiful children and what that experience is like?
Sure. I am blessed that Allah has given me 3 beautiful children. So as of today, my oldest will be 16 in July. And then my daughter, she is 12, and my baby's 10.
Yes, her daughter is her boss, right?
She is the boss of me.
That's interchangeable. So when you hear me talking about the boss of her, I'm really talking about her daughter,
she is the boss.
Who is a beautiful, intelligent Madam President. She's a president of her class.
Of her 4th grade class.
Yes.
She was in the 4th grade. So Rona gave her the name Madam President, and that's what we have been calling her.
And it's very fitting.
Madam
It's
President.
very fitting,
right.
ma'am. So being a mom, then you stepped out into this world of entrepreneurship, Jamie Lynn.
Right. So let me say, it didn't happen from divorce, being a mom, and then stepping out into entrepreneurship. I think it happened of me being a mom, me struggling.
Okay.
Because that was a part of my story as well. Me jumping from jobs where I made $15 an hour, me jumping from jobs where I made a little bit above minimum wage, me jumping from jobs that were not idealistic for myself. They didn't have the idealistic time for me to work. I remember, I think I did like a nursing assistant job or something for a couple of months, just trying to figure it out.
Which I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did. Me going back to school as an adult, being an adult learner with 3 children. So I don't think from where I am now to where I was, it was definitely some struggle, some work put in.
Yes, and for me, I'm glad you corrected me, because again, like I said, you only see and know something after it shows up in the world, right? So you don't get to see behind the curtain. And that's something that I always say to you, that every time I talk to you, no matter where we are in our life, it seems like we're always in the same space.
Right.
But then when we're talking about challenges, you motivate me, because your disposition is always with a smile on your face. And you spoke on just, the struggles and the challenges, but clearly, you did not give up. You didn't allow those challenges to deter you. Talk to me about your source. I know that you have a very strong faith. Like, our faiths are the same in terms of our belief in God. That's outside of religion, right? Our faiths are strong. Right. Talk to me about because I know also we share this in terms of our families, our personal families, and maybe not having the full support from families that we would have liked to have, in our struggles. I want you to talk about, how did you manage, and where was the source that you pulled from, Jamie, to quite frankly keep going?
I would say, one, God, making God my foundation. I remember praying to God, trying to make him my foundation and my everything. I remember one day a particular prayer where I prayed, and I feel like, God said back to me, okay, well, I'm clear that, our relationship is solid, but now you need to gain a relationship with yourself, And so that's when I realized there is a relationship with God, and then there is a relationship with yourself that you also have to develop, because God lives within yourself.
Absolutely.
And so me developing that relationship with God in the outside, and then me knowing that I had to find the God within myself and build her up. That's number one. And then I also think, and I think that's like 90%, 95%
Okay.
of who I am. But I will say, also my family, I do have an amazing family. Of course, like everybody struggles,
Mm-hmm.
but the family that has showed up, particularly, an uncle of mine who I love and admire.
Mm-hmm.
And he was able to, at a certain point, financially support me. And so that I was able to finish school and do all the things that I needed to do, and not struggle and not face the struggle that most of us face, or that I experienced in the beginning of me being a divorce. So
Mm-hmm.
when I decided to divorce, I didn't tell anybody. So I didn't tell my family. I just did it. A little scared of what
Right.
everybody was going to say, what
Right,
everybody
of
was going to
course.
think. I was pregnant with 2 children.
Right.
Who does that? Why
Right.
would you do that?
Absolutely.
Why would you make it hard on yourself? But again, I prayed and I felt like that was the best answer for me.
Mm-hmm.
Did it make logical sense? Absolutely not. But did I feel like that was the answer, or that's what I needed to do? I did. So I went ahead. So I didn't tell anybody. I would go to family functions. I didn't even tell anybody I was pregnant. And you could clearly see I was pregnant, but I didn't want to talk about it. So
Right.
you
just
see
this,
in a
but you
state
don't.
of denial, I didn't even talk about it. I'm just gonna come amongst you, and you're gonna see this coming, and we are not gonna talk about it
That's
because
exactly right.
I am not ready to talk about it.
Right.
So that's the
I love
level
that though. I
of
love
denial.
that. But
Yeah.
talking about taking control of yourself and your space, right? Like, listen, I know I'm showing up with a whole pregnant belly, but I would like nobody to pretend like you see it, because you don't, okay?
Mhm.
We're not talking about it.
Mhm.
But I mean, I love that though, Jamie.
But
that
I
is-
wasn't ready to process it, and so I
I
wasn't
love
ready to process what was happening, and it had to happen in my time.
I love it. And for me, it's not even about right or wrong. It's just about, listen, I'm honoring myself.
Yeah.
I don't really care about who thinks.
And at the time, I didn't know if I was honoring myself, and it could be a traumatic response. I will say that. But I think you have a question.
I do. I have a question from the couch.
Couch question. Were you close with your family?
I would say yes. I think I have a really close knit family,
Right.
as a whole. So I always say my grandmother raised amazing grandchildren. She had 13 children, and they are amazing. With my mother and my immediate family, no, I wasn't. I was still working things out.
Because you come into Thanksgiving dinner, belly and toe, and nobody's talking about it. Because I know if like if I saw Rona, and I'd say, hey, what's up? I wouldn't let her shut me down.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Because
Right.
family's going to push you.
Right. And so when I mean, let's not talk about it. So it was obvious I was pregnant. Of course I told my mother, but it wasn't a discussion. I didn't like oh, hey, what are you having?
Right.
I would immediately cut it off. We're not talking about it. I didn't want to talk about it. My mother, I remember at that time, even though we were in the process of developing a healthy relationship, is what I would say. Because at a point, my mother and we had to tear down what we had in order to build a healthy relationship. So we were in a process of building a healthy relationship. One thing she did is she said, do you want me to throw a baby shower? I don't know what I should do here. And I said, no. So she said, okay, just write a list of everything you want and I'll just buy it and pay for it. And so she bought my baby's crib and just everything that I needed. But the rest of my family, I mean, clearly you could acknowledge and say, oh, hey, I didn't know you were having a baby. Yeah, but that was it. Yeah, we weren't going to talk about it. I wasn't going to engage in it. I wasn't going to say, oh, I'm 6 months. Oh, do you want to feel? Oh, how does it? I just wasn't ready because it wasn't a happy moment for me.
But that takes a lot of strength. courage
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And
It
I
had to be
think
hard emotionally too.
It was definitely hard emotionally. I think also I was in counseling. I was doing a lot of counseling at that time, and so I was able to talk about it in a safe space, but I wasn't ready to talk about it to everybody.
and I'm glad we are. Number one, I'm glad you said to me, I don't know if it was me honoring my voice because it could have been a traumatic experience.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad you said that.
Right.
Because I mean, now hindsight is always 20/20, right? But you going back in the moment and saying, I can't 100% say that I was in this space where I was like, I'm honoring my voice, I don't want to talk about it, so I'm shutting everything down. You very much just said, you know, it could have been the results and the reaction of this being a whole traumatic experience, which absolutely, you know, that definitely could qualify considering all that you were going through, right?
Right.
So I just, number one, I appreciate you just in this conversation, just,
Yeah.
you know, correcting and helping even me to understand, because I'm always in a space of this. And for you to, thank you.
No, of course. I say that because I am very big on counseling and therapy.
Yes. Yes.
I do therapy, once a week, and that's my investment into myself.
Okay.
So
That snaps from the cuff. Yes, ma'am.
And so as I learn, as I grow, as I develop into who I am as a woman, sometimes I question my past decisions, and I wonder, was it just me being traumatic, you know?
Right.
Because I'm learning, as I go through therapy, I'm learning how to be a healthy Jamie. And so, and I'm learning how to shed the habits that I did have.
Okay.
And so that's why I said, as I look in hindsight, it may have just been a traumatic response. It may have been something that was so overwhelming that I wasn't able to cope. I wasn't able to deal. So let me avoid it.
Right.
You know, let me avoid it. Even though you see a belly, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to have anything to do with it. And that's why I say that's a traumatic response sometimes, is avoiding something that is real.
I mean,
I
can totally relate, because think about how much, you know, how many things we do suppress that are easier to suppress and to avoid talking about it, because it's not something that you're wearing like a pregnant belly, right? So to be
depression,
yes.
anxiety, low self-esteem, all of those things will just continue going on, and day after day after day, without dealing with them and avoiding them and suppressing them until they show up.
Yeah, and we have destructive behavior as a result of it. Right. You choosing the wrong people to be around. You know, you know, making poor decisions for yourself, or choosing poor, the wrong activities to participate in. But you're like, oh no, but I might, be a whole crackhead, but don't nobody talk about it now. I'm not gonna talk about it. Let's pretend like I'm not over here shooting heroin in my arm. Let's pretend like y'all don't see my teeth.
But like Dawn said, but I'll see you at Thanksgiving and I won't address it. So not only me, it's obvious the pregnancy, but you'll also see
the uncle,
the uncle that molests.
That's what I was about to say.
You'll see him at Thanksgiving.
Oh my God!
But you won't address it.
And you'll let him babysit the children.
You'll see
the
the
uncle
crackhead,
that you know that's touching folks.
But you won't address it. You'll see him at Thanksgiving. They'll show up. We'll hug and we'll kiss and we'll pretend, but we won't address it.
Absolutely.
And so it was the same thing. That's why I said again, it may have been just a traumatic response from me, and just the norm in our environment in the Black community of, okay, she don't want to talk about it. Okay, let me pretend that it doesn't exist, instead of creating a healthy environment.
Because I call it a convenient ignorance. Because you're responsible and accountable for what you know. So as long as I don't acknowledge that you're on crack, even though I see all the signs of it, then that's going to make me responsible to do something. So it's that convenient ignorance that we kind of operate in, because, hey, look, I got all my own stuff. I don't want to take on her stuff either. So I'm going to pretend like it's okay that she's telling me that she's pregnant, and then she keeps cutting the conversation short, like right there, and we're not going to keep going. But that's okay for me, because then I'll have to be responsible for now what I know. I mean, girl, that's why you're here, Jamie Lynn. That's why you're here. You ain't even know I was going to be pulling all this magic up out of you. But no, that's that's why, I mean, I love you. I mean, I
Oh,
love you. I
me
love
too.
your story. I love, your journey. I feel like, you're scratching the surface, and now you are in this space now of being a whole boss, because you took that
Trying to
house
be.
that
Trying to be.
you took that house you bought, and you now, is that one of your income properties?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So I bought my house when
That snaps from the.
Yeah, so I bought my house when I was 28, and I was just divorced. So I had divorced. I was 9 months pregnant, about to have a baby. I just had closed on the property, and 2 weeks later, I was like, I can't work no more. And then I had the baby. I bought the house in August. I had my son in September. In my head, the plan was that I just needed to be there for 5 years. Let me get myself together. I had no college education at the time.
Wow.
And so it was, let me grind these next couple of years and let me get myself together and put myself in a position. I will say, not only is God my foundation, but my family is a major foundation.
Mm-hmm.
For me. My family is really, they really push business. And so I was able to learn some skills just from my family structure. And so after I had my son, I stayed at home with him, but then I lost my job, which ended up being a blessing because I was able to collect unemployment and stay home with him.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was on unemployment, I was able to get a free education at a community college. And so I took that opportunity.
Yes.
And I decided.
Snatch from the couch.
Yeah.
Work that system.
To
Absolutely.
work the system and take that opportunity and go ahead and go back to school and get my degree. So I took those couple of years, and I was really grinding. I had 3 children. I was on my own. My ex-husband, he had a little bitter moment,
Right.
So in all reality, he had a moment where he didn't want to see me succeed. But again, God made sure that people were around me that did want to see me succeed. So they lined up. I had babysitters, and I had people who were willing and ready to watch my children or to spend the night while I worked that shift that I didn't want to work. Or so everything lined up, and all it took was me to grind and me to work. So I did that. And then I have an uncle who I absolutely love and admire.
That
He
I've
is
met, and he
amazing to me. My uncle is
is just an amazing
thebomb.com. And so we talked, and he heard what I was doing, and he said, hey, go ahead and go to school. I'll pay for the rest of your education.
Wow.
And I will pay for you to live while you're going to school. So
Wow.
you're
Come on,
only-
snap from the couch.
Yeah. And that's
Yes.
not rare in our community. It's not rare for you to be able to depend on a black man that is you're not sexual with. And I say that because a lot of times we depend on a man, but we had that first relationship when we have a sexual relationship.
Right.
And so my father was never in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So for my uncle, not only did he financially bless me, but he taught me what it is,
Right.
how to get support and receive support from a man in a non-sexual way.
Wow.
Right. So that
right.
I could then find that in another man.
That's
So,
exactly right.
You
No,
know,
and that's
so important.
Because we need tangible examples, right? Like for me, reading, Nick's book, my girlfriend's book, and then knowing her and seeing the things that she's done, that was my tangible example to kind of permit myself to kind of go and do things. And I just want to stay at this point that you're talking about of knowing how, as a black woman who has had to, as a single mother, I don't know, just show up in this world, especially like me, I don't know who my father is, don't have a relationship with him, not having in those formative years an education and an understanding of how to be, in a relationship with a man that's not of a sexual nature, and not suffer from the guilt and all the questioning of, should I accept this help, or what does this mean, or is somebody going to expect something from me? That is something that you have to learn as a woman who, I had to learn that, right? And I had to understand that Rona, you know, this person is helping you with no expectations. You're
Right.
worthy of that. You talked about the self-esteem building.
Right.
That's part of the self-esteem building process. And for you, it was your uncle, and that's a blessing. And I'm so glad you shared that, because we think that I'm gonna take this money, but that no, it's easier said than done. You don't know until you're put in that position how you're going to respond. And
Right.
so the fact that you said that you had to learn
Right.
how to accept that and then have that relationship and not it be with a man of a sexual nature, that's huge, Jamie Lynn. Thank you, girl. Thank you for dropping those little pearls, honey. I appreciate that. And then you went to school, and then I saw you as a mom and as a student and as a homeowner and all those things. And then you said, well, now I'm still going to advance myself after this.
Yeah. And so then I got my education. I ended up graduating with a degree in business, decided to go and get my MBA. I didn't complete it yet.
That's okay. That's okay. COVID hit.
But I am 4 classes short of completing my MBA. I started a business. I actually started a few businesses.
Yes, she did. She's a serial entrepreneur, y'all.
Yeah, I first started being a closing agent. So I work with different title companies, and I do all of their closings on homes. And then I started business consulting. Like, I felt like I just got something in me. I know how to start businesses. I know how to run businesses. I don't know how I know how to do it, but I know how to do it. And so I started helping people to start their own businesses. One in particular was a group home in PA, where I helped him write all of his rules and policies and procedures for the state of Pennsylvania. We got a group home up and running. That group home today is about, I think we have about 7 group homes today.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
See?
About to open another one, actually. I did Airbnb.
You have a successful Airbnb, because I stayed in her Airbnb, y'all. It's beautiful, wonderfully decorated, and it was, you know, a lifesaver for me and my sons. I told you, girl, you just...
Yeah, about to close on my other property, about to close on another investment property in about 2 weeks on May 10th. So I'll be closing on that investment property. So yeah, just venturing out there, I think, like everyone else, like you said, in this room, and being able to be grateful and appreciative of where I've come from and where I am going, because I don't think this is it, but where I'm going.
I know that this is not it, but I mean, and you're doing all of this, and again, you know, you don't look like, you know, what you've been through, right?
Better not.
That's exactly right.
I better not. Fenty has helped me out. Shout out to Fenty. Shout out to Rihanna. But
okay, another powerful Black woman doing her thing.
Pressure makes diamonds.
That's absolutely correct. The couch commenter said, "Pressure makes diamonds," and you're definitely shining bright, Jamie Lynn. You are approaching, you know, another. You have a few years left, right? In terms of,
I got a couple months left until I'm 40.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not.
That's 40 this year?
Couple months.
Girl,
Come on, welcome me into the club.
Yes, ma'am. Let's toast to that. Yes, on my way out, and you're on your way in. So
you and I are exactly 10 years apart.
I didn't realize that, Jamie Lynn. I did not realize that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your thoughts? What's your plans for 40?
My plans for 40 is to continue to let God lead me.
Okay.
Because that's always number one for me.
Absolutely.
Because I know where He has taken me. And for anybody who always says, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you did such a good job," I know it's not of myself.
Right.
And so I will never ever take that credit.
Right. Again, like I said, you don't look like what you've been through. Jane, you're together all the time. How you pull together? I mean, even my inspiration of, you done had how many babies? What?
Girl,
you
3.
look a great. Listen, okay, just tell me what you're doing so I can do it. I mean, so now here comes 40. You know, marriage. Do you want to be married again? You know,
I would like to be married again. I would like to do it the right way.
Okay.
I got married when I was 22. Didn't really know who I was. So now at 40, I am pretty clear who I am. And so I would like to do it again.
Okay.
With more knowledge of my own self and who I am, more knowledge of my wants, more knowledge of my needs.
Absolutely.
And then to find somebody compatible. So absolutely, I would love to marry again. I would love to.
You're an avid traveler, so you travel.
I would love
because we're here in Las Vegas. So
I would love to do some more traveling. I would love to be a good mom.
Okay. Well,
I
you're
say
already there.
Right, but really put into my children. I think at a certain point, it was all about building myself and building business. I think something in the Bible talks about when your cup runneth over. And so I pray that I gain all of these characteristics and all of these things of myself, that my cup runneth over so much that I can give to my children and I can give to society. So that's kind of where I'm at this place in life. I would love to be able to build for myself, but to build to give my children experience.
Yeah, generational wealth.
Right, at a place that I didn't have. So that's my goals.
I think those are amazing goals, and I'm happy that I get to sit in the front row seat of your journey and be in the same space with you.
Likewise, you have had an amazing story yourself, and
Absolutely.
so I am very happy that I'm able to sit in the front seat of your life. Very humbled to be here this weekend with you and all the wonderful ladies here as I get to know them. They are amazing, and I'm very, very humbled to be in the presence of such wonderful women.
Well, thank you, Jamie Lynn.
Yeah.
Thank you. Give me a hug. Oh. Until the next episode, see you all. Be easy. Peace.
Bye.